Hi, I'm Diva from Musical Hell, and I know the score. Being wired the way I am, I tend to be more interested in the nominations for the Best Score and Best Original Song Oscars than for a lot of the major categories. It's a great way to discover musical gems hidden in movies I might not see otherwise. And the nominees tend to be more eclectic than what you'd see in other awards. You get the usual period pieces and artsy films, but there's also some comedy, a little action, maybe a musical if it's been a good year for them. So while everyone else is discussing whether anybody can beat Anne Hathaway or just how you pronounce her name, I'm going to take a look at the nominations in the music categories and see what looks good and what I think can, and what should, win. Several of the Best Score nominees reflect the international influences of their settings. Argo focuses on the true rescue of diplomats in Iran and naturally displays heavy Arabic motifs with intricate drums, qanun riffs, and wailing vocals. Contrasting this are Western-styled themes like The Mission, with its majestic strings and horns. The mixture of musical cultures is a nice metaphor for the conflict that drives the plot. I also love the way the main theme evolves, building from a simple folk pipe through rich string chords before it morphs into an intense, racing pulse. Joe Wright's Anna Karenina takes an often filmed classic novel and adapts it in a unique way, by creating the settings within the confines of a theater. So it's fitting that Dario Marianelli's score is classically rooted but with a definite twist. The base of the score is grounded in stately violins, elegant music box-like pianos, and Russian folk motifs. But just like the passions and secrets that lurk behind the aristocratic facade of the characters, the soundtrack is punctuated by dissonant interjections and darker tonalities. I really like the juxtaposition of the refined and the chaotic in this score, particularly on the track Dance With Me, which gradually builds from elegant and reserved to wild and mad. Life of Pi's title character takes an inclusive approach to religion, and Michael Dana's score is similarly broad and diverse in scope. Rooted in Indian music with sitars, high-chanting vocals, and drums, the soundtrack expands to include elements ranging from French accordion to soaring symphonic airs to vocal tone poems that remind me of Howard Shore's Lord of the Rings music. Dana works all these threads into a tapestry of sound that is layered, introspective, and deeply spiritual. The remaining two scores represent a blockbuster spy thriller and an American historical epic, and fulfill those roles in expected but effective ways. Even more so than the two installments that preceded it, Skyfall is ultimately about bringing James Bond into the 21st century while remaining true to the franchise's roots. And that's what you hear in Thomas Newman's music. The familiar blaring brass and slinky jazz chords underscored with electronic beats and techno pulses. Some tracks are firmly planted in the old school, and others equally established in the new, but ultimately the two sounds mesh and combine into a thrilling and entertaining adventure score, the best of both worlds. Lincoln is a John Williams score, so you pretty much know what you're going to get with it. A booming horn theme here, a little ethereal choir there. But really, when you're making a movie about one of America's greatest icons, who else would you get to score it but one of film music's greatest icons? Williams' strength has always been his knack for gripping, unforgettable hooks, and that's exactly what he delivers with Lincoln's main theme. Drawing on Aaron Copland with its deep brass chords, tender woodwinds, and American folk influences, this is music that promises inspiration, integrity, and the ability of an individual to shape the world for the better. A fitting musical tribute for the 16th president. All 5 soundtracks have their merits, and I can honestly say I wouldn't be upset if any of them won. But my 2 personal favorites would have to be Dana's beautifully complex Life of Pi and Williams' Americana-inspired Lincoln. Life of Pi won the Golden Globe, which I think will probably give it the edge in a very worthy race. The Best Original Song Oscar tends to be Feast or Famine. Last year's race featured 2 nominees, neither of which I liked very much. This year the field is maxed at 5, ranging from nice to really good. The one I'm probably least enthusiastic about is Before My Time from the documentary Chasing Ice. It has nice, pensive instrumentals, but it's taken me a while to get into the vocal line, even though it's well sung and... You're shitting me, that's Scarlett Johansson? Damn, somebody get that girl into a musical! Anyway, Before My Time. Not bad, just not my thing, I guess.
But I don't want to die alone. I don't want to die alone.
Given the content of the movie Ted and Seth MacFarlane's reputation, it's kind of surprising that Everybody Needs a Best Friend is so mild. That's not a bad thing. I'm not a fan of excessive vulgarity, especially for its own sake. As it is, the song is a fun Cole Porter pastiche with a bright jazzy tune and some clever lyrics.
A fool could see decidedly that you're a 10 and I'm a 3.
Wow, was that a chorus line reference? Well played, MacFarlane. But it's the remaining 3 nominees that I like the best. Like the rest of the Life of Pi score, Pi's Lullaby is a magnificently layered piece, with a delicate vocal line floating over gentle percussion and flute and enriched with an increasing variety of vocal harmonies and instrumental counterpoint. I'm a bit of a sucker for songs that mix traditional instruments and melodies with modern production techniques, so it's easy to see why this nomination appeals to me. By contrast, Suddenly from Les Miserables is of a class of songs I don't usually care for. New pieces added to a pre-existing musical score in a blatant attempt to land this award. And while it doesn't quite fit seamlessly into the lush dramatic music that surrounds it, I must say that as a standalone piece, I rather like it. There's a wonderful simplicity to the arrangement, centering on the tender trio of piano, violin, and Hugh Jackman, who brings out the wonder, joy, and fear of a man who finds himself thrown into the role of father for the first time.
Suddenly I see what I could not see. Something suddenly has begun.
But it's Adele's theme for Skyfall that's likely to take the prize this year, and it will deserve it. On the scale of latter-day Bond themes, I would put this below Casino Royale's You Know My Name, but above Quantum of Solace's Another Way to Die. Adele's uniquely dark yet soaring voice makes her perhaps one of the best singers for the Bond franchise since Shirley Bassey. and I love the way the song builds steadily from the cool jazz piano to guitar and drums to the stirring chorus.
Let the sky fall when it crumbles. We will stand tall and face it all together. Let the sky fall.
So that's the opinion on the music-related Oscars from someone who has absolutely no influence or inside information on the matter. But in an awards year where hardly anything has turned out the way people expected, really? No Ben Affleck? My guess is as good as anybody's. I'm Diva, I know the score, and now, so do you.
Skyfall is where we start.